Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the DVU Podcast Club's, rendition of the Ag Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Kay.
And before we get too deep into our podcast, figured we'd talk a little bit about ourselves. Like I said, my name is Josh Massey. I was born and raised Salisbury, Maryland. Came to Del Val in 2013, majoring in livestock management science. Near future holding, I am going to interview at a church in Hoopeston, Illinois, in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. Hoopeston is the home of the corn jerkers, so look for updates on that coming up. And I'm also about to attend Olivet Nazarene University for their Master Divinity program, and I'm getting married in August. So that's kind of my upcoming life in a nutshell. And
dang, pretty exciting. More than mine. Mine's just getting to the weekend. I'm Kay. I'm a senior here. I'm majoring in media and communications, and I have a concentration in agriculture. I guess what I really hope to do with that, which is the infamous question when I tell people what I major in, is working for someone like the Department of Ag or Farm Bureaus or FFAs, just different agricultural groups like that. Other than that, I have no real future plans. Like I said, just getting to the weekend is my next big step.
Sometimes that's all you can do. So this week we're kind of scrambling, figuring out what we want to talk about. But if you guys have anything specifically you want to hear, always feel free to email us at DVU Podcast at gmail.com.
So, or post it on the Facebook.
Or post it on our Facebook page according to our sit-in. Larry Landcock.
Yeah.
Not affiliated with Harry Hancock at all.
No, not at all.
So
yeah, you can also tweet us. We're always on that, and we'll get your input.
Mm-hmm.
So today we brought in someone who's not necessarily versed in the field of agriculture, Larry Landcock.
Not at all. I've no clue about farming. I'm from Philadelphia, just to throw that out there for everybody. I don't really know too much about the whole farming, agriculture department. I know I go to an ag school, but I'm still kind of focused on the fact that Josh said corn jerkers, right? That's it.
It's the corn jerkers.
Yeah, the corn jerkers.
Fear the ear, they say.
Fear the ear.
Fear the ear.
Oh boy,
pretty intimidating.
The sweet corn capital of the world, they say.
I think I just soiled my underpants, Josh. Oh boy.
Is that funny?
Yeah, soiled, get
soiled,
it? Agriculture, see what I did there, folks? You're welcome.
You're quite humorous.
But yeah, I mean, you guys were kind of trying to figure out a topic and everything, and I thought, if need be, I can kind of pose some questions that non-farmers here at the school may ask or even wonder about.
Because contrary to popular belief, the school used to be founded in agricultural practices, but we have grown in other areas. As you can see, we have a media and communications major. Business is really huge at the school. So we have a lot of people here that don't actually know a lot about agriculture, even though it's a huge major here.
Yeah.
Nope.
So what do you got for us?
So, all right, first question, and I posed this to you guys a little while ago. Is there an animal requirement to be a farmer?
That's a good question. I don't know if there is a necessarily an animal
better question. What makes you a farmer? Because can I go out into my backyard and dig up some dirt with boots and dirty jeans and a camo hat and be a farmer? Can I parade around like that?
Again, there's your definition of what is a farmer. The USDA actually has some requirements that you have to meet in order to be, considered agriculture in your practice. So certain animals fall under that. If you have over so many chickens, you fall under that. If you have livestock cattle, if you have a horse, if you have this, that, or the other, these are deemed livestock animals. So if you own them, even just one, then you're considered in a livestock practice. That's why you can't have a cow living in your backyard. A lot of the neighborhood organizations come together and say anything deemed an agriculture animal, you can't have, in your house or in your backyard or within our certain zones.
Really?
So, that's why chickens, again, sometimes you can get away with that. But emus, fun fact, are not zoned an agriculture animal. So technically, unless they catch you, you can have an emu, and the government will not come after you.
Unless they catch you, you can have an emu.
You can have anything you want if they don't catch you. So
if they catch you with an emu, you better run,
yeah,
right?
So do we need to check your dorm for
you can
emus,
if you want. I do not. I've thought
okay.
about bringing in chickens and bringing in a cat.
You
But
thought about this?
oh yeah, I mean,
This has crossed your mind.
this has definitely crossed my mind.
Where are we going to
So-
keep the chickens?
I mean, chickens are easy. Just keep them in a shoebox. They're a little food and water in at them, and they're good. I mean,
A shoebox?
commercially, a chicken needs 1 square foot per bird. That's what they allocate in the house. Mind you, that's also
So-
assuming a up to 5% mortality.
Oh,
So,
dear
but
God.
it's assuming that they're going to end up with a little more space, but
So, realistically, they need about 2 shoeboxes.
that would probably
Yeah.
be good. A refrigerator box would be key.
Oh, that's nice. But for how many, though?
I
For just
mean,
one
or
or
two.
Now
just
wait,
a couple?
one or two.
This is egg-producing chickens. This
Yes.
isn't like roosters, right? Like, where
A
do
rooster
roosters...
would give you away.
A rooster
and
is just a male chicken.
Yeah, no. But they don't produce eggs, do they? No, they don't produce
no,
eggs.
roosters definitely do not
No,
produce eggs.
no, okay.
Do men
no,
have
no, no, no.
I mean,
this was
today,
this
it's
was a
a little-
family.
it's a little-
Alright.
No, this was a
Now we're
family.
getting to a
This was a
different
family
topic.
question that like me and my sisters were having. Can you eat a? Was it a fertilized egg? Can you
Yep.
eat one of them?
Yeah,
I don't know.
chickens are gestation. I say gestation period. They lay an egg. It's a day in the hen, and then it comes out. And then it takes 21 days of incubation and turning and all of that, the right humidity and temperature and everything for the chick to finally hatch.
Okay.
Usually the eggs are picked up within hours of being laid, or even in
Yeah.
a backyard flock within 24 hours. And by that time, you have a little blastoderm or germinal disc, and
What?
it's a
Okay.
germinal disc.
Yeah, dumb this down.
You can actually see it now. If you crack open an egg and look for like a little yellow circle in the yolk. You got your yolk, and then you got a little. It's maybe as big as a pinhead, little teeny circle, and that's where. If it's a lighter yellow yolk, then it's
Yeah.
probably a commercial bird, so it's probably infertile. But if you take one of the ones from the Del Valle poultry sheds, one of those 2 sheds they have there, you can see it's a little larger, and that's because the cells began to divide. However, it's by no means you can for sure eat it. You
All
can
right.
eat
We
it.
don't
Wow.
recommend you going in and stealing the Del Valle eggs.
No.
though, in
If
case
you want
that
some, I
was-
can hook you up. I have 7.5 dozen in my fridge, and I'm running out of room. So
Dang.
Seriously?
I need to get rid
Wow.
of those.
Okay.
You
I'm
might
stock.
need to
They're
steal one or
saying
2
prices of a dozen of eggs are approaching $5, so I'm
Yeah.
just stockpiling.
Hey,
And
Hey, this
Big
is just a
bang.
smart economic decision.
that's what I'm saying.
Hey, poor college kids. So
Yeah,
that's what you gotta
all
do.
of us are. So
But in the Philippines, actually, they have what's called balut, and they'll take an egg, let it be incubated to 18 days old. They'll hard boil it like we do our Easter eggs, and then they crack it open and eat the chick inside.
Oh,
The key is to get it
Ew.
before the
an
eggs
actual
form.
chicken.
Yeah, an
like there's a
actual
furry chicken in there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
is
before
that
the
what
feathers.
they do with those ducks? I don't remember where I've seen it, but is
What?
that okay? I might be going crazy, but they do that with the ducks. Is that they boil the ducks while they're still in the egg?
I've never
and then-
heard about it with ducks. I know they do
Oh,
it with
okay.
chickens. And some
I've never
of them,
heard about it with either.
I mean, some of them we'll take hard-boiled eggs and chop them up and put them in a salad. They'll do that with the balut chick.
Oh,
So they'll hard-boil the chick and cut it up and put it in the
Okay.
salad.
that's unbelievable.
This might be a question. Okay, now I'm asking the questions because
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. How fully developed are they? Do they have bones and whatnot?
It's supposed to be before everything in the beak solidifies. The bones aren't supposed to be formed yet, and there's not supposed to be a lot of feather development. So it's probably a little before 18 days around when they want to get it, but you can definitely recognize that it is a chicken.
So it's like a chicken. Like is it like a chicken wing in a way? Is there like a little tiny chicken?
I
wing?
mean, it's still
And
got
egg?
it's still got the head and the little beak and everything. It's just not solidified and
Wow.
just kind of.
And this is like a delicacy in the Philippines.
Is it a delicacy?
Kind
or
of
is
a
it
Or is it just like one of
It's-
those things like everybody does? It's not a delicacy.
I imagine it depends where you are. I just
Yeah.
know I did it on a mock missions trip, and they're like, "Here, eat this. You farm chickens." And I said, okay." And
Here
I
we
was
go.
surrounded by a bunch of girls at the time. I was like, "Shoot, I got to do this." I look like a coward, so
Dang,
I went there and
talk about
ate
No,
the
like
loot.
getting the
So
ladies like eating the whole chicken out of
this
an
was
egg.
in like 3rd, 4th grade, so I was real young too. I would have
so
eaten
you-
dirt if you asked me to.
So yeah, you were a ladies' man. Okay.
I wouldn't say
Is
that.
it
Only
like
the-
a-
like-
In my
only the
head,
real
yes, but in practice, they say I was as smooth as sandpaper. So it's Definitely
one
not
of
a-
those.
Only the
Wait.
real ladies' men eat dirt. All right, Josh, you remember that.
I would
How much
definitely
dirt did
remember
you
that.
Oh, so much dirt. So much dirt was eaten. Let me think of some other questions here. Okay. Now, I brought this up a little bit earlier. I know, at least in Pennsylvania, I know Kay isn't from Pennsylvania. Josh, you said you may know a little bit about this, but I think Kay may be able to like speculate maybe on where this is, because you're a part of FFA, right?
Yes.
Yes. So there's Amish farmers, or Amish, depending on where you're from. Or
Never
where
heard
you're
Amish.
at. Okay.
But anyway,
If you
continue.
live in the Hancock household, it's Amish. Anyway.
I thought your last name was Lancock.
Hey, you know what? There's no line. Folks, this is Harry Hancock, special surprise appearance, okay? They are the Amish. Now, do you guys, like, would you associate with them? Or are they, like, is that, like, a whole big farmer group together? Or do you guys, like, kind of, like, do your own thing?
I think across the board, farmers would say that farming is farming. Like getting your hands dirty, being in touch with nature, and kind of our roots, if I want to stretch that far as to say. So yeah, I would agree kind of with that farmers and Amish farmers can relate. I guess the main difference being is what equipment we can use, but
One big thing I've noticed, especially with the whole ag scene, is each farmer kind of does his own thing. So I have my farm, you have your farm, we'll intermingle a little bit, but by and large, I'll manage my own farm, you manage your own farm until there's an issue. And that's when you really see the, everyone coming together to help each other out. So I've heard of examples, someone's house went down, meaning the chicken house. So I'm from the Eastern Shore, when you say house, it's your chicken house. So if your chicken house goes down, everyone comes over to help you, recover from that. If there's a fire, everyone's, in your field trying to put it out. So everyone's, your tractor breaks down.
It's more of a community in the Amish sense.
So it's kind of you do your own thing. And I've seen, the Amish and the non-Amish, I don't know what you call them, it's not Amish, but Amish and non-Amish communities, come together great. Mind you, it does get a little tricky where the Amish, of course, don't want the tractors and the machinery on their property.
Yeah.
But you look on YouTube, you see it all the time, the Amish pulling a truck out of the ditch with their horse and buggy. So
yeah.
Wow.
I actually saw one come across Facebook after this big snowstorm, and I think it's actually been a couple years old, but a huge tractor-trailer truck got stuck, and the Amish had a team of horses to come pull it out.
Yep.
That's literal horsepower.
Is a group of horses a team, or is that like... That's what it's called. It's not like there's a flock of geese, there's a team of horses, that's a thing?
Well, it'd be a herd of horses, but when
a herd of horses.
when they're
They
like
work as a
working
team.
and
They work
pulling.
as a team.
Yeah.
Alright,
Team
that
of
makes
horses.
sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Just like if you were to pull oxen, because up where I'm from, we have, at our fairs, we have oxen pull and cattle pull, pony pulls, things like that. So it's your team, no matter how many are on your team.
Okay.
And it really doesn't matter how much weight they're carrying either. It's always, since it's a team.
Yeah. Now, you have these horses, and they're great and all, but you were talking about there's, like, competitions for cows, right?
Meaning like the livestock evaluation and all?
Yeah.
It's basically, your livestock shows are almost like a beauty contest for livestock
So you dress them up.
Not you. I mean,
Like, do they
Well,
really
some
do
circles might, and especially in
to
your
an
rabbit,
extent.
your chicken areas, they will.
Even when I used to show sheep, there's a wool competition, and you and your animal need to dress together. So I remember seeing some little kids like dressed as a pirate, so they would dress their sheep up in a pirate costume, things like that. But that's really just one of those fun contests. But it can get really serious. But to some extent, you do. In like a beauty contest, you do put makeup on them in a sense. You have to spray paint their hooves black for cows, and hairspray their top line. And
Their what?
Top line's the hair kind of from the base of the neck down to their
so like the
like
horse's
their
mane,
spine.
right? Like the horse's mane would be top
no,
line?
it'd be like
after that.
Yeah.
So you got would be the main area, and then after that they leave it a little long.
Do cows have a mane?
No, not like a horse.
So they have a much longer hairline?
top line.
Top line.
Top line.
They got a much longer top line then.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
horses, I don't think you keep the top line.
I don't think it matters.
I've never shown
I'm not a
horses,
horse.
Yeah,
so-
see, I'm posing all these great questions. Now, wait, okay.
No, you're...
So now these farm, like, what is your farm, Kay? What do you guys farm? Because
Well,
you have a farm, right?
Yeah. Back where I'm from, we have what we call, I don't know what you guys call it, but it's called a gentleman's farm. So we have...
I think we all been to a gentleman's farm once or twice.
I said gentleman's farm, not gentleman's bar, okay, guys? No, we call it gentleman farming, meaning it's like an old school little farm. You provide enough for your family. We have maybe a dozen and a half cows, a lot of chickens, both laying hens and meat birds, have some sheep, just have a little bit of everything, and then a good 3-acre garden. So it really pertains to everything we harvest from the farm, both from the animals and the garden, kind of goes directly back to us. And my family's always just donating it to families that need it or whatnot. But that's kind of farming I do, just something that keeps us in our roots, but we still know what we're doing.
So you don't sell like anything to like companies, or like you don't sell like on the market, or do you do like just like your local neighbors up where you live?
No, we don't sell, because when you get into selling, it comes into a lot of USDA stuff and things like that. So that's primarily why we don't. We'll just give it away to friends and family who need it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not uncommon for farms to do that, because that's how they get their livelihood.
Yeah.
Another one is, I haven't seen them as much down in Pennsylvania, but we have a lot of farmers markets up north. Almost every town has farmers markets. So some people do sell their meat, but it's no cost to sell your vegetables and things like that. When we were younger, we used to have a farm stand right at the end of the driveway. That's how we got our petty spending cash. So, I mean, what kind of farm do you have?
Currently, we don't live on a farm anymore. So when I was born to a 8-house chicken farm. Broilers, of course, we had a contract with, because by the time I was born, it was Purdue. And, at that time, 8 houses was huge. I mean, no one had 8 houses, and if you did, you were in a partnership of some deal. But, now it's kind of mainstream for you to have at least 6 to 8 houses. So my dad had that, and I would help him on the farm a little bit. And poultry industry is kind of unique in that it's very vertically integrated. So the only thing you as a farmer own is a house and the facilities. The company you're contracted with, be it Tyson, Mount Air, Purdue, Bell and Evans, whoever it is, they come in, they provide the feed and the bird. You raise them up to market weight. They come in, take the bird away, and however efficiently you raise their birds is how well you get paid. So
what's like market weight? They have to reach like a
what
couple
is it
pounds?
now? It's more than a couple pounds.
It changes, though,
I'd say 7, 8 or more pounds a bird.
Wow.
So and that's for
7 or 8 pounds of bird.
So that's
all right.
your broilers. Then you have your Cornish, which are smaller, and I guess they're around.
Cornish game hens. Yes,
Yep.
I've eaten one once before.
Hey, there you go.
Yes, I have eaten one of them. It was in a really fancy restaurant that gives you the little itty bitty amounts on the plate. I was pissed.
A lot of your Chick-fil-A nuggets are Cornish birds because they're supposed to be tenderer where they're younger. They're only raised for about 6 weeks instead of 7 or 8 like a broiler.
So Cornish are more tender?
Allegedly.
What does that mean? Allegedly, like there's a conspiracy.
That's the mindset. So the mindset is you got your Cornish who are raised 6 weeks, and then they're taking a market. Your broilers, which are 7 to 8 weeks. So
I like how you say broiler. It's a brawler.
It's a broiler. That's what it is.
B-R-O-I-L-E-R. You have layers and broilers. They're different, just like you have beef cows and dairy cows.
Yeah. And then you have your roasters, which are 8 to 12 weeks. So they're
those go on like the rotisserie, right?
Kind of, yeah. So a lot of your bag chickens will be a roaster.
A roaster?
Yep, a roaster.
Yeah, a roaster.
A roaster.
Yeah, I catch your drift. I see what you're saying. All right. So,
but yes.
So, and a lot of like the farming, especially in the chicken industry, is how quickly you can get your animals in, like from when they start to how soon they can get out of the building, so you can make a buck.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's wow. So you guys have to like work fast. Like they have to grow at their own rate, but like you guys don't like help them along. Because you hear like people inject like steroids into like these animals, right? Isn't that a thing?
It's not really. I mean, it's more.
Is that like mainstream, like trying
to
scare you?
The antibiotics, everything along those lines. So a big thing with the poultry industry, you'll say antibiotic-free chicken, antibiotic-free eggs.
Yeah.
In all the research they've done, antibiotics don't help the bird production at all. So they're saying, they're pumping them full of antibiotics so they grow bigger faster. When in reality, if they ever do use antibiotics, it's only for medical purposes. So if your flock gets sick, then you give them antibiotics so they get healthy, and that's actually recognized again by USDA as being humane. Mind you, you can't sell those until the antibiotics have left their system.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. You would think that you would want to medicate your chickens if they were all sick, right?
Yep, and actually organic, you can even vaccine your animal and they still be considered organic. So now, of course, if you have an organic farm and you give them antibiotics, they're no longer organic because by definition it has to never have contact, be it through feed or
So do you have to label each animal? Is that or do you just label a group?
For a beef cow, you could do that, but for the poultry, the way you administer your vaccine, if you ever do an antibiotic, any medicine, anything like that, it's through the water line. So they have a tap, you tap into the water line, and then it sends it to the whole flock, hopefully to the whole flock. You're hoping they're all drinking like they need to be.
Yeah.
So that way your whole flock would be then, no longer organic or whatever.
So a lot of times what farmers will do for cows is they will remove the animal from the farm and then be able to administer the antibiotics and vaccines and whatnot. That way they can still remain organic.
Yeah. So when they make you charge pay extra for organic stuff. What's the point? Is there a point to that, or is that just them trying to make more money? Which you say probably because everybody no matter what they're going to charge you the same price, or do the companies buy the organic chickens at a higher price?
Yeah, it's really the difference, even nutritionally, between organic and non-organic is pretty insignificant. So if you did all the testing and everything, you wouldn't really be able to tell much of a difference. It's more of a mindset. So organics never had herbicide, pesticide, or anything like that unless they themselves were certified organic. So more so in the meat industry, you see the prices go up a lot because they have to put a lot more into it. So if you have an organic tomato, it just means your tomato never had anything put on it. However, for a chicken, that means none of the wheat, the corn, the soybeans, or any of the other products that go into the feed could have ever been organic. So they have to go an extra mile in order to keep the feed organic, so now the bird can be organic.
Okay.
So that's where you see your price gap, your price jump.
I've done when I was taking ag classes, we did a test between organic and non-organic, and we sent around samples. I think we did carrots and maybe apples or something else, a blind taste test, and I was surprised of how many people couldn't tell the difference because going to a school, not Del Val, but going to a school that they harp on how great organic is and we're just trying to go organic and organic this, that, and the other, when they fail a taste test and it's pretty much across the board that they can't tell the difference, I don't know, I kind of says something.
Yep.
Yeah. So as farmers, do you want to produce organic, or do you is that a preference thing, or
that's kind of it? Organic, kind of your niche market. So you might have a specialty, type of cow or type of chicken or something. So that's your niche market. Organic's kind of in that same boat.
Yeah.
So again, it's harder and more expensive to grow more or as much organic as it is not. Poultry industry, again, it's kind of weird where it is so vertically integrated. If Purdue, say, came to your farm and said, hey, you're going to start growing organic chickens, it doesn't really affect you too much because Purdue's paying for the feed and for the chicken and for everything, else except for the facilities. And your facility is usually not organic itself.
Yeah. So.
But it really depends on. There's the difference between chicken farming and say organic vegetables is. For them, it's a real cost thing. But if Purdue's paying for it, then what difference does it make? So it really is.
Usually the grower has no say in that. It's just kind of, whatever the company makes.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think. In terms, I know we talked a lot about animals, but I know vegetables are, super, big. That's, what would you say is the percentage? What do farmers want to produce, or is that something that they figure out on their own, or is that what is that?
I think it's kind of what they're comfortable with, what they're used to, what they know, and what they, I don't know, what What
So
they
also-
went to school with, if they did go to school, things like that.
And it's kind of if they see where the market's headed. My dad grew up on a mail order nursery farm, which we never hear of anymore, but they would sell us.
Mail order nursery.
Yep. So MAIL mail.
Mail
order nursery.
All right, I got it.
So there you go. So what it is you would call in and order 1,000 tomato plants for your tomato farm, and then they would grow the plants up till they're plants and give them to you, and you'd go in a planter and drop them in the little slit, and it would plant the tomato plants for you. Well, my dad, and it was actually the family company, Rayner Bros. They were called. They would do that for tomatoes, asparagus, different strains of potatoes. So anything along those lines. They also had sold a bunch of seed. They would go and they would grow these plants and then sell them to farmers, almost as far as the Missouri River. When my dad got out of college, he actually went to college for something along those lines. Got out of college, came back home, and he's like, I really don't want to carry on the family business. It was great in its heyday, but of course, the markets and the times are changing, and people aren't really doing that anymore. The U-pick strawberries are going away, and the U-pick tomatoes are going away, and now we hardly see any U-pick anything.
What's a U-pick?
It's where you go and you pick.
Oh,
So
this is like a plant. Like literally, like if I wanted to pick like a pumpkin,
we have it at Del Val. We have you pick peaches, you pick apples, you pick pumpkins.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So
Okay.
those were, of course, dying out. Del Val, it's kind of a rarity that they have it here. Back home, you have a few you-pick strawberries.
Yeah,
and
we have a
stuff
lot
like
of
that.
you-pick strawberries, and I can only think of one farm that we have a you-pick blueberry, but that's about it.
So it's definitely a dying out, thing. So my dad said, well, now what do I do? His father-in-law, or I guess, by then it was his father-in-law, my mom's dad.
Yeah.
He was a chicken farmer. Said, hey, well, why don't you go and you buy this farm over here? It's for sale, and it's got a few chicken houses on it, and I'll help you. And my dad said he never heard from his father-in-law after that about the chicken farm, but said he went and he bought it and just had 2 houses on it. Then he built 2 more on it, and
wait, chicken houses, not regular houses.
No, chicken houses.
Okay.
Chicken houses.
See, the whole chicken houses, regular houses, that's throwing me a little bit.
There were multiple houses on it, but they're kind of insignificant.
Now, aren't they called coops? Isn't that a thing?
It's, a chicken house for a commercial bird, it's about, you could average, say, 50 yard, or foot, I guess. Yeah, 50 foot by 500 feet.
Wow, okay.
So it's a decent size.
So is that like one of those, like, the things that you see, like, the cows in, where they're, like, super, like, they're really, really long buildings and the cows are just lined up, like, for a long distance?
Kinda. It's a
But for
similar
chickens?
format, yes.
Okay.
So the way the broiler industry is normally they're floor houses.
The what?
Floor houses?
No,
the broiler. The
these are for broiler
the
chickens.
broilers, yep.
These are for
The
meat
broilers.
chickens.
Yeah, meat
Yes.
hens. There you
So
go.
layers are in either layered cages or staggered cages or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Of course, they have enough room to move around and everything. In California, they have a lot of room to move around. They said there's no difference in the chicken's health or anything, but that's a topic for another time. But so layers are kind of up over a pit, and when they defecate, it goes down the pit, and the farmer goes beneath and cleans it all out between flocks or however often it's needed.
It's like, have you seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a
remember
layer
when-
house.
That's
Yeah,
like a
that's a layer
legitimate
house,
yeah.
but it's
With the
still
talent,
like
yeah.
enclosed.
Okay.
A broiler house is on the floor, so they're just walking on the ground. The feeders and the drinkers are where they can reach it.
Yeah.
And then when that flock goes out, they come in and they scrape it all out with machinery.
Huh.
So
You learn
That's
something
pretty
new every day.
interesting. All right.
Yep, so he was selling equipment to put in at chicken houses, all the updated new stuff,
Yeah.
and he was actually building a few chicken houses for other farms in the area. And he said, "Well, shoot, might as well build myself some," and then went from there.
So he was a chicken farmer.
Oh yeah, huge chicken farm. He had a few cattle and a little, we call them farmettes where we're from. So
Farmette,
farmettes,
okay,
a
yeah.
mom and pop farm, pickup
Yep,
truck
mom
farm,
and pop
anything
farm,
like
hobby
that.
farms.
Yo,
and stuff.
farmettes.
Farmette. Yep. So he had the pigs, he had the garden, he would rent some fields out, and they would grow whatever in them. The cows.
So like, when you raise chickens, do you do just specifically eggs, or do you do like just specifically meat, or do you do like everything?
Usually it's one or the other.
Or is that
There's-
like for cows as well? Like, do you do like just specifically the dairy cows, or do you do? See how I use dairy cows? I didn't say the cows.
I like
that
that.
give
There
milk.
you go.
Yeah, see,
You're
I'm a
learning.
farmer now, everybody.
There you go.
Or do you
Well,
do-
all right.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you like have to pick which one you want, or can you just kind of cover the whole thing?
Again, that's whatever you can make a living doing. So if you can be as diverse or as specific as you want. It's whatever you're comfortable with and that you can make a living with.
Yeah.
On small, like you call them farmettes, small gentleman farms, you can have a little bit of everything. You can have the meat birds, you can have the layers, but as you're getting bigger and farming is your sole source of income, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's dairy cows, or it's beef, or it's broiler hens, or it's laying hens, things like that. It's that when the bigger you get is when you start to decide.
So now, as farmers, what do you guys want to get into, or do you even want to get into farming? Like, what's your, like? You guys can each do your own, like, tell me your own what you want to do, but like, obviously, you have to kind of have an idea of what you want to do, right?
Yeah, go for it.
My whole life, from the moment I could talk, I always said I wanted to farm chickens. Of course, you know, like we talked in the beginning, you know, that's life's kind of taking us somewhere else. But no, it was always I want to do something and farm. So I wanted to be an artist and farm. I wanted to be a policeman and farm. It was always I wanted to do something, but at the same time, farm. And coming to Del Val, I had the full intention of returning home and starting a chicken farm, or inheriting one, or picking up a chicken farm somewhere along the lines. Ideally, I would do the broilers. I think the broilers are the best. Cornish are a pain, and roasters
broilers are the best, baby.
Broilers where it's at, and I definitely didn't want to get into layers or pullets, which pullet, you know, there's 4 big categories in the poultry
Here we go.
growing.
In the poetry or poultry?
Poultry.
Gotcha.
There's
You got your breeders, which, you know, usually they're treated a lot nicer. They're the mom and dad of any chicken that comes, you know, later on. Then you got your layers, which of course lay the eggs. Before them, you have your pullets, which are from baby chicks all the way up until laying age. And then they're sent to the layer farm. And then you have your 3 strains of meat birds.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to be a broiler farmer specifically.
Broiler farmer.
For either Purdue or Mountain Air.
So that's what you want to do in your future. Now, what do you want to do, Kay?
Oh, I want to be a millionaire on a beach.
There you go.
No, I always want farming to be there, and I think that's why I decided to transfer schools and focus on an agricultural school. Is I always want agriculture to be in my career, or something I can go home to at the end of the day. And because, granted, Harry, you don't know this, but Josh does, but farming is very therapeutic. It gets your mind away. I often would catch myself just going to the barn for the afternoon or whatnot. But so to me, farming is something I want in my future. And being in agricultural communications, I want to make sure it's in other people's futures. I want to have an impact on the farmers' lives to make sure that they're getting the pay they need, and that society is recognizing farmers for who they are, and doing things like these podcasts. So, yeah, I see agriculture and farming in my future, definitely, especially as a little hobby farm. So, so that's what I say. I mean, I know it's not your cup of tea.
No, you know, I'm a big city
for
liver.
rednecks like us,
well,
it's
you know,
our cup of tea.
If you're rednecks, you're a little something different here and there, you know.
We'll convert you for you now.
We'll bring in enough sides that will.
Well,
do you have any other questions for us?
Not right now. I think I might. Maybe I'll think of some questions maybe for another show that you guys do. But I just thank you guys for answering what I didn't know, because I think there's a lot of people out there that, you know, even go to this school or just in general that, you know, don't know too much about this. And I think, you know, as a school, it is our job, you know, to kind of promote this type of thing.
I mean, I think I'm pretty versed in the field of agriculture, but, you know, even just sitting here listening to Josh, like, there's a lot more that I still need to know.
And each farm has a different, you know, feel to it, so you can never know everything, and you can always learn something.
We'll definitely have a lot more people in that can talk about their area of specialty. So,
and to our listeners, again, feel free to send us any thoughts, comments, concerns, questions you have for us, and
Twitter,
Facebook, Twitter, and email. Definitely hit us up.
So let us know, and thanks for listening, and have a good one.
Bye.